Hi, everyone. I hope you can hear me, but this is a good test. In fact, if you can hear me, would someone please just respond in the chat saying, yes, I can hear you. Already a good sign, people. Excellent. Thank you very much, Salim and Sabine and Faustine. We're going to get started for real in maybe 2 minutes. But what we love to do at the beginning of these CFO Connect events is really just get to know you guys a little bit better, to see who's out there in the world. And so today we've got a great question that I need you to answer for me, please, in the chat, like our like 4 friends already have. I need you to tell me where you are in the world and how you're doing today. I'm Patrick, which may not be clear because I know it says Spendesk team, but I'm Patrick, and I'm in Paris, and I'm doing all right. I'm a little bit tired today. I didn't sleep that well, but that's okay. This is the last thing I have to do, and I'm really excited about it. So I can't wait to dive right in. We have Sabine in London, Sarah in Brooklyn, Pierre in Lille. Aha, people have started following the rules. I did say, please let me know how you're doing. Rainier is in Berlin and doing splendid, which is fantastic. We have Thomas in Switzerland. We have Oliver in Karlsruhe. I'm sure I pronounced that incorrectly. Gavin in London. Renaud in Paris. Hello. Deauville in London. Jakob, I'm going to guess, in Stockholm. So only one person did their homework, who was Rainier, and he told us how he's doing. And Louisa is doing great in Stuttgart. Happy to hear it. Let's do 30 more. You have 30 more seconds to let me know how you're doing. Natalia is in Lyon. Hi, Natalia. So the good news is, excuse me, the good news is the chat clearly works. Because this is an AMA, we're obviously going to be answering a lot of questions from everybody. That's the name of the game. It's an Ask Me Anything. We want you to ask your questions. So please, just while everybody's paying attention to the chat, please notice next to the chat, there is a questions tab. If you can, please put your questions in the questions tab. It's just a bit easier for us to tell the difference between the chat and the questions that way. If you ask them in the chat, we'll still do our best to respond to them. But if they're in the questions, you definitely have a better shot at that. All right, I'm going to dive into the very brief introduction that I need to do, just to tell you a little bit more about why we're here and you know, all the housekeeping that you need. So, first of all, as I'm sure everybody is aware, this is a CFO Connect production. Welcome. CFO Connect is, of course, the go-to community and resource hub for finance leaders in fast-growing companies. Hopefully, that's all of you. CFO Connect is also, of course, powered by Spendesk, which is the go-to spend management solution for modern finance teams. And really, what we're keen to communicate about is just that we're an all-in-one solution. So we bring together smart company cards, automated expense claims, automated invoice processing and accounts payable. We're just trying to automate all of your payment issues that typically are a real pain for most companies. That's it. That's the pitch. No more. Today, I'm really happy to be speaking with Elodie Hadjidakis of Habiteo. I hope I did okay, Elodie. I practiced it once on her before. Yes.
Perfect.
I practiced it once on her before, and then I told her if I was brave enough, I'd try it live. So it turns out I am. Elodie's going to introduce herself in just a moment properly. But we have a very brief and simple agenda. We're going to talk with Elodie, and then we're going to have questions and answers from you. And hopefully we'll even blend those a little bit so, you know, we can have the questions as soon as you have them. Last thing to know is, of course, CFO Connect has a wonderful podcast called CFO Yeah. We do sometimes even make these AMA webinars part of the podcast. So we take the audio and sort of mix it into the podcast, and would love to be able to do that with this one. So please, if you haven't checked out the podcast yet, we published episode 10, I think, today. and it's all sorts of wonderful CFO Connect members telling their stories, talking about all the things that are happening in the world at the moment. And so I highly recommend it. And I would say that because I do most of the talking on it myself. That is the long, slow intro. It's time to get to the AMA. And so I think, Elodie, if you wouldn't mind, the perfect place to start is just to introduce yourself properly and maybe tell us a bit about Habiteo as well.
Yes, of course. Hi, everyone. I'm so glad to be here and to talk to you. Well, I'm Elodie. I'm 32 years old, and as you may have noticed, my name is a little bit weird. It's because I'm Greek. I'm French and Greek. I've been a CFO for 6 years now. I went to different companies and still startups. Before Habiteo, which I am now, I was also a 360 Learning. So now I'm in the prop tech industry, and before that, I was in the ed tech industry. So the first one about property, the second one is about education. What else? On the more personal point of view, I'm pregnant, so I'm expecting a child in a few months. So I'm leaving on maternity leave in a few months. So if you have any questions about that as well, feel free to ask me, because there's so many things to be organized about in this situation. So I can answer about this. And what else? On a very personal point of view, I do love escape games. So I'm really frustrated right now. Well, I reassure you, I prefer to, restaurants to be open and bars to be open, but I do love escape games. That's for me.
Virtual escape games just don't quite live up to the same standard.
Sorry, what did you say?
Have you tried any of the virtual escape games?
I've tried, but it's not that fun.
No.
No.
It's a bit like Carmen San Diego. I don't know if anybody played that game as a kid, but you just click on everything until something works. And then
yeah, exactly.
It's not really much strategy.
No. You don't have to touch things.
Have you always been a finance person?
Actually, yes. I've always been actually a math person, and when I was later in high school, I really loved everything about economy. Actually, I was always attracted to math, and when I went to college, it was really obvious to go to something that was related actually to figures. But when I was actually in college, I had to choose before two kinds of finance. You have market finance and you have corporate finance as well. So I did both. So I did so many courses in those both areas. But marketing finance was actually quite too much theoretical for me. So corporate finance just appears to be a perfect match. So yes, I am a finance person since the beginning.
And you started off in consulting roles with Deloitte and EY and Arthur D. Little. Do you think that consulting is a good background for CFOs?
Oh, yes, I do. I really do, because I think that consulting really gives you the opportunity to work on several projects, on several companies, with several people, and it gives you the flexibility you need when you are a CFO. I had the chance to experience different kind of consulting. The first one, strategy. Well, strategy, I was an intern, but still one kind of consulting. And after that, in audit in Ernst & Young, but also in transaction services in Deloitte and EY. So each kind of consulting gives you so much, really gives you so much. When I was in audit, for example, to be fair, I wasn't really supposed to be in audits at the beginning, because when I began to work, it was really a difficult time for finance people, because it was after the 2008 crisis. It was quite difficult to find some job in transaction services in banks or whatever. So when I did some interview in Ernst & Young, they just asked me if I wanted to go to audit. And I was a bit reluctant at the beginning, because it was not really my path, but I tried. And actually, I'm so glad I did it. I'm very grateful, because in audit, what you learn is really about organization, and also the ability to really dig into the dirt, of accounting, and really understand the mechanism behind it. In transaction services, it's really different. It's more about an analytical point of view and also the ability to deal with pressure and deadlines. It's very demanding. And to finish with strategy, I cannot really talk a bit really more about strategy because I was just an intern. But what was really interesting is that you have the chance to work on so many subjects, and being able to handle any subject and having a methodology to solve a problem. So the consulting really gives you a methodology for organization, etc. And I think it really gave me so much. And nowadays I'm using it when I have, a trouble with a problem in every area of my scope, actually. So yes, I don't think it's necessary, but it really helped me.
And then what caused you to move from that sort of industry or area into startups?
I was a bit exhausted, I think, at the end, not because really about the pressure and the deadline, but because, and it's my opinion, of course, it's my opinion, because I know so many people that stay in consulting and loves it, but I thought it was a bit recurring, when you have an audit, you have one kind of report to give. When you were in transaction services, you have due diligences. Of course, it's different company, etc. But I thought it was, it was a bit repetitive. And I was a bit not bored because you have so much things to do, but I wanted to do something else. And actually, I was really afraid to go somewhere where I can get bored, because actually my consulting years were really exciting. So at the first, I was trying to go to PE firms or M&A in corporate, but I had really the feeling that my day-to-day would be the same. So I saw a job offer actually in a famous headhunter website, and it was about a CFO role in a small company, 30. I think it was 30 people or 40 people at the time, and I remember they said 4 years of experience, and I was like, okay, let's try it. So I think I had 3 years of experience at this time, so I say, yeah, why not? At least I tried, and if they say no, they say no. And actually, when I tried for this job, I had like butterflies in my stomach, and I had really the feeling that it was for me, because I had the chance to create something, because it was a first time CFO in a company, and I felt really I won't be bored. I will learn so many things, and it was really learning. So yeah, that's why I started. That's where I started.
And you were there for 3 years, is that right?
3.5 years, I think, or something like that. Yeah.
And now you're at Habiteo. Why? Maybe
Yes.
Also you could give us a bit more of an introduction. You said prop tech, it's property tech, but what exactly are we talking about?
So Habiteo is a platform dedicated to property developers in the new real estate markets. And what we do is really automating new real estate's business process, thanks to a proprietary modeling technology. In simple words, what we do is really marketing tools for the future buyers to be able to project themselves into buying, into living, into working somewhere through 3D. And we have industrialized this project. We have industrialized the 3D production, and we help our customers to reduce production costs. And the business model of Habiteo is quite weird, actually, because it's between the SaaS model and between the industry model, because you have an image production. So it's really fascinating for a CFO, because you have those two. You have two sides of finance, because, for example, in 360 Learning, it was SaaS business, which is really interesting because it's quite simple for finance. But when you add a production point of view, it's really, really interesting. I like it.
Well, yeah, because I've clearly misunderstood something. What exactly is being produced?
The 3D image.
Right. Okay. So it's like a model that you can put on a table and look at.
Yeah, you don't put on table, you put it on your screen. But
Okay.
yeah.
All right. So we click around, we navigate. It's another escape. You can do another
Yeah,
virtual escape room.
exactly. Everything
Okay.
is linked.
Oh, fantastic. And just regarding the customers, particularly, I'm thinking of the SaaS angle. You said it's mainly for developers. So obviously we're talking about recurring customers who use it
Exactly.
on every project. And okay,
Exactly.
makes perfect sense. What attracted you to this role?
Well, I was a time in my career. I wanted to do more, to have more than a CFO role. I mean, after being convinced by the vision of the company and finding a real partner in my CEO, I really wanted to mature. And I had the feeling that I needed to leave, to leave, to see something else, to be able to do so, because 360 Learning was my first experience. And actually, I wasn't really looking for a job, but I was contacted, and I think at this time I've met 2 or 3 CEOs, but just, to get information. And I met Jeanne, who is the CEO of Habiteo, and it was a match. I don't know how to say that, but we share the same values. We have the same visions, the same vision about how to handle a company. For example, fundraising are great. Fundraising are needed, but we have to keep focused and to have the goal that financial stability is as well important as growth, actually. And you have this balance between those two. And I don't know, I liked her. I like the scope she was offering me. It was not that different from the one I had in 360 Learning, but it was a bit wider. Because I had also the strategy point of view, and the legal point of view, the IT point of view, etc. So my scope was wider, and I thought really it was the perfect opportunity for me at the right time, and I do not regret it.
Well, happy to hear that. What does the finance team look like?
If you're talking about my team, it's not only finance, because as I said, my scope is a bit larger. Now we in finance we only have one FP&A. I can talk really about it, but we have having also fundraising, but I can talk about it. So sooner it must be a bit bigger. I have also one accountant right now and one internship, so 2 accountants. In human resources, I have one responsible, and we are soon going to get an internship and one IT guy. So we are 6, 7 today.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm very proud of my team. We have accomplished so much in 2 years.
Well, we can't talk about any future fundraising.
No.
But you have done plenty of fundraising in the past, and so maybe that's a good place to start, or to continue the conversation. You said fundraising is necessary. Do you like it?
No. Sorry, I'm very honest. No. And every CFO that says otherwise in my position is a liar, I think.
Well, we have a bunch of CFOs watching here, so I'd be interested. Please feel free to respond to that. What do you not like about it? I'm sure I can guess, but in your case, what specifically?
Well, I'm kidding. It's not hell. I'm kidding, but not that much. Well, actually, I know what I'm talking about, because I've made like four fundraising as a CFO, and I've lost count in transaction services. I've made so many due diligences, so I really know what I'm talking about. Fundraising is very demanding. It's sometimes frustrating, and it's a stressful time, but that's okay. But what's really hard is really to lead the side projects next to your actual job in the company, because you have to make everything goes round, and you have to work on this side project, and the ratio, time spent term sheet received is not so high. It's very low. So you spend so many times on this. But actually, I'm also kidding, because I think it's a must for a CFO of a startup, of course, and not other companies to experience that kind of thing. It's really nice to meet other people and to have the chance to pitch a company. Well, actually, you have two kind of way for this, two ways of actually for the CFO to handle a fundraising. You have some CFO that only appear at the end of the process. I mean, at the end, and only, I say only, but it's a lot actually. Yeah? At the second rendezvous, when you explain the business plan and then you do the due diligences, etc. It's a huge part, and the legal part. And you have also, it depends on how you've seen actually the fundraising with your CEO, but you can also be part of the pitch for the first rendezvous. And this is actually also demanding, but it's actually the fun part as well. It's to be able to pitch the company side by side with your CEO and to give them the financial point of view and to give them the strategic point of view. And the two those 2 points of view are really interesting together. So so when I say I don't like it, I'm kidding. It's I'm kidding. It's really interesting, but you have to have in mind that it is demanding, it is frustrating, and it demands you so much time.
And then you said as well that you sort of agreed with the CEO that you're going to be you're at least right now quite focused on sustainability, financial sustainability. Where is that perspective coming from?
Maybe because it's coming from, I don't know. I think as a CFO, you want to have money. It's basic. That's it's more about experience as well. When you do a fundraising after another fundraising, etc., you have this feeling that the growth is going out of hand. I don't know how to tell that, and you have the feeling that it can stop at any time. You see, and I understand this this run for growth, but I'm also somebody very at low risk. I don't like I like risk, but not too much. I'm very balanced, so I need this stability to be able to grow. Actually, you have to grow, but in a stable way. So this balance, which is very difficult to find. It's very difficult to find, to have good figures, but to be able to show that you want to be independent. But it's so important for me just to be able, for the company to be able to be independent from a money point of view. I think it's so important.
And I think there's probably something really satisfying about being an efficient, well-run company, right? Where you can actually say, well, look, the business model makes sense because here are the numbers, and if we don't have another dollar or euro of investment, we're good. We're a great business.
Yes, it is. Well, actually, it's not. For startups, it's very complicated. So it's it's a dream coming true. I hope for many of you who are listening, but yes, this is fulfilling. Yes.
So I want to quickly pause and remind everybody, please, to submit questions, because you don't just want to hear what I'm thinking. We want to hear what you'd like to know. So please do that in the questions tab. I will keep an eye on it. But for now, we also like to talk a lot about the concept of finance as a partner and a part of a wider business. Outside of your team, what do other teams and other employees need from you?
Many things. Maybe the analytical vision you can have as the CFO, the ability to apprehend the new markets, new products, etc., and to be able to put a cost on it, to put a price on it, and not only new markets but also new opportunities in general, and this ability, I think, to have financial overview. Nowadays, I'm trying to transform the company, actually the companies I am working for, to be a KPI-oriented companies. And I'm really glad to see the acceptance of it. It's really amazing. It's really amazing because you can see and you can create a need in other teams thanks to those KPI, because if you educate them well, if you communicate well, it can be really a tool for them to monitor the team, and they really see the importance of it, and it creates a need. So that's really nice. And also that's for the other teams, but for my CEO, for example, when you really work as a partner with your CEO, you're here also to challenge his or her strategy, and you need the right figures to do so. And I will finish with, especially in those dark times and in startups, which lives are very eventful, I would say, the ability to find solutions and to handle stressful situation. It's key, actually, to a company survival.
Well, very quickly, we have a great question from Pierre, but since you mentioned crisis and tough times, how has the last year or so been for Habiteo and for, I mean, because you're also in charge of HR and legal and all those kinds of aspects. Was it an interesting year?
It was harsh, but it was really interesting. I've learned so much this year. Yes, we had actually the COVID, like every companies, but we had also the election, that was postponed for 6 months, and actually it has also impacted a bit our business, because I don't have the word in English. Mairie,
the mayor, the local.
The mayor, yes, of course.
The mayor,
mayor,
as our American friends would say.
Yes, the mayor. The mayor give the permits, for construction.
Right.
So
okay.
If they change the mayor, they stop the permits, etc. So we had those two effects during the year. It was more about dealing with crisis with. The first confinement was more about dealing with the shareholders and just reassuring them that we're safe. We have put so many processes in place to reassure them. So many business plans, so many business plans during this year, that just to handle every situation possible. And from a human resources point of view, we also put in place partial employment. We have asked many help from the government, from the administration. So we've learned so much. We've learned so much during this year, and I hope it's really behind us now.
Well, that's a really interesting field that I've heard from other CFOs. Is this idea that all of a sudden, thanks or no thanks to COVID, you have to become a real expert in regulations, and government, new government rules that the government is actually just making up as, trying to help, but making up as they go along as well. And so that's such a big part of just surviving.
Yes, exactly. I've spent so many times just reading, and I was actually very well accompanied by our lawyers. They did a great work. There, but you had to yes, you have to dig into the press and to see what was right, what was wrong, what was false information, and especially during the first confinement, because it was for everyone. But after that, it was more organized, so it was easier. But yes, we began experts.
Well, on that, we have a question from Sharon, which is, do you have a legal and security person on staff? And how do you keep up with privacy and security regulations around the world? So maybe let's start with legal. You are in charge of legal. Is that you have a person in the team? A lawyer? No lawyer.
Just me.
External lawyers?
Yes.
Okay. And then I guess the question around privacy and security, maybe we're thinking mostly around, for us in Europe, GDPR. How do you keep up with, with the rules around that, around privacy, I suppose, and security?
Nowadays is more in our company is more a product matter. So I'm not really in charge of the RGPD.
Okay.
GRPD, sorry, in English. So I cannot answer your questions. I'm sorry.
But well, I mean, that's sort of the answer, isn't it? That at least from the platform perspective, it's a product issue. You're, I suppose, dealing with contracts and the things that you just mentioned.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, you're right. You're right. I'm also, as we're dealing with recruitments and CV and cover letters, we have to put certain process in place. For example, erasing all the CVs we can have received in I think 3 years after we receive them, that kind of thing. But in my area, except from human resources and IT as well, when you have you have some rules you have to respect, it's really in Habiteo it's more the product matter than an administrative matter.
Cool. Okay, and while we're talking about team structure and skills and who you have involved in the team, we have a couple of questions about basically building a finance team from scratch and what your structural strategy is. Which roles do you want to add? When do you decide when? How do you decide when to add them? Have you approached it the same way at Habiteo as you did at 360 Learning?
It was not the same, because 360 Learning was really a first job creation. But at Habiteo, I had already a team. And I recruit more. So it's not the same. But as 360 Learning, the first thing was to hire an office manager at the beginning. So the office manager allows you to she was working on many subjects, a bit of accounting, a bit of office management, and she was helping me out. So at the beginning, it was really about applying actually my consulting abilities and just to do an audit of what was needed. And we were working really together like this. And I was really just seeing if we needed more time on a specific subject. And at the beginning, it was really about putting in place processes. It was more about human resources processes. And the second step was about accounting. So when I've recruited some new people in the 360 Learning, it was the first was the office manager, who became a human resources, then finance, and then accounting. Why? Because I needed sometimes, I was doing all the finance, so I needed sometimes, to take a step back. So I needed someone in finance and accounting, because accounting was externalized at this time and I was trying to internalize it. So we put somebody in accounting to try to internalize this. So that was actually my test, but it really depends on how the company is structured from the beginning. But my priority was one, to reassure the shareholders to put all the reporting square. And the second things was put in place processes that helped me win time actually, and win time for me, but also for the teams.
I think a lot of it depends as well on the business model, right? Because in your case, we're talking mainly about SaaS, and as you said, it's not particularly complex from the finance side. So for that reason, you can focus on HR, office management, that kind of thing.
Yes.
Yeah,
exactly.
We've spoken with other CFOs who have had much more sort of B2C models where they're talking about a lot of small transactions, and actually just the ability to book those transactions quickly is the most important thing, and that's the biggest hurdle. So the first thing that they have to get is an accountant or a controller or someone who can handle those transactions.
But if you see that the methodology is the same, it just secure the finance parts, the reporting parts, to be sure that everything is okay, and then go to the human resources. But the first part for me was actually, and you're right, quite easy, because I had all the right methodology, the finance methodology, thanks to my consulting years. So I just had to put everything in the right template and present it. So it was easier. That I can understand that some CFO will need to structure the finance team before a human resources team. So I can get it.
Great. All right, we're going to change topic a little bit here, and we have a question from Pierre, which is, what's on your reading list to become either a finance professional or a better business partner for your startup?
Well, at the beginning, Spendesk did not exist at this time. I bought a book. I don't know if I have it here, but I bought a book. It was How to Become a CFO in 30 Days, something like that. Right. I bought it in the bookshop. It was actually, I devoured it because it was my first job as a CFO. I didn't have any friends CFO or anything. So I read this book, but it's not that interesting. So don't read it. But what my readings, I actually I have some newsletter that is really interesting. So I have Madness, VC Insiders as well. I receive many newsletters from my lawyers, but you can actually just subscribe on some newsletter coming from different kind of lawyers, corporate lawyers, human resources lawyers, etc. So it gives you new laws that are coming out. What else? I think I bought a book as well. The title was Objective Cash. Okay. I read it as well.
It left a mark, clearly.
Yes. When you don't have anything else, you just read books on the bookshelf. That's it. But actually, that's it. And I also talk a lot, actually, with my sister. Actually, she works in finance as well. She's an FPA manager, so in big firms. So I had the chance to talk to her, and that's it, I think. And I go to Spendesk and that kind of thing to find information. And I'm doing some publicity for you.
Absolutely. And CFO Connect, of course. You come to every AMA. Okay, we have another question. I'm going to read it, and hopefully it makes perfect sense to you. Do you have any tax planning for your company?
Tax planning.
Tax planning, yeah. Do you do tax planning?
You mean taxes? Right.
Well, the question says tax planning. In this case, I think management should rely on you for this matter. Saeed, I think we don't quite understand the question. Or shall
it's tax, TAX.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, we have. So there's different kind of taxes. Some are in the accounting scope. Some are in the human resources scope. And actually, we have a calendar. We have a calendar we share. We have different countries. We are in Spain, but we are in France as well. So we have some external accounting. Sorry. The accounting is internalized. Sorry, but we have some advisors as well to review the accounts. So we have a shared calendar with them, and just to remind who do what actually. So yes, taxes are actually so important. So yeah, we have a calendar.
And since we're talking about accounting, we have a question on internalizing versus externalizing accounting, which we've kind of touched on. When do you think is the right moment for a startup to bring accounting and bookkeeping in-house?
I think it's not the first step to internalize because you have so many processes to put in place before that. So the finance, human resources, etc. Well, it depends on the scope, of course. If you're in finance, it depends. But I think that the first step is really to be able to report. So the external point of view is really important, especially if you have recurring boards. This aspect is really important, to take a step back and understand your figures. And after that, it is important to externalize when you realize that you don't have the data. You don't have this data soon enough. And you need it in other ways. You need it, etc. And the data that are giving that I give to you by your external accounting is not enough. So it's really a second step for me. I know it's really fulfilling to see that you have internalized your accounting, and I know it's a CFO goal. But sometimes you really have to, see the different priority, especially if you don't have a huge team or anything. I think it's really a second time.
But as you said, it also comes back to how important the same thing that we said just before, how important the accounting data is. I mean, it's always important, but how strategic accounting data is for your business. So for some businesses, there's just it's important that the books are kept well and that there are no errors, but you're not really relying on the bookkeeping to make a lot of decisions. So it's okay if they're, or maybe you disagree.
Oh, I disagree. Yeah.
Oh, okay. No, go for it. Go for it.
No.
Tell me why I'm wrong.
I think that the figures are, it's the basic actually of you can run a company without good figures and good data. So no, I think it's actually useful for every company. But what I'm saying here is just prioritize the others than you. I mean, the external, when I say the external reporting is for your shareholders, but it's also for the rest of the company. See what you can do now. See what you can give the others to start working on it, and then the accounting part is just on you. It's just on your shoulders. So it's something you can do when you have more time. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. But about the figures, about the data, the analytics, of course, it's important for every company. Even if you have a finance model which is quite simple, actually, you need it. You need it to rule your company.
Right. Makes sense. Another nice question: what does a typical day look like for a CFO?
Oh, no one is like the other. It really depends on what it's not right time level, but what maturity you have in your company, in the maturity of your team. But at the beginning, when I was 360 Learning and I began, it was really about putting process in place and some recurring process. When your team is getting stronger, you have more people. It's more about validation and dealing with the exceptional. So the first part, I can tell you the morning I was looking at blah blah blah, etc. But right now I can tell you what I will do the next day. The only thing that I do on a regular basis, it's the boards. The all ends meeting, the KPI meeting, the manager, the the manager reunion, and that kind of thing. That those are regular actually, but the rest of the day is really about managing your team. When you have a big team, you spend so many times managing it, not like telling which one should do, but more helping them, trying to give them good duties, etc. And more about finding new ways of financing, new helping other team on new opportunity, etc., etc. So really depends on the life in the company.
Excellent. Okay, another nice question from Rainier. Hi, Elodie. What finance tools tech do you currently use? Any specific tools that have significantly helped you and your team deliver value?
Yes, I actually, you won't like this answer, but I actually use a lot my CRM. Mm-hmm. And we have automated so many things on the CRM, on BI, and on Excel. Sorry, and but it's quite a useful tool. So in finance, but only in finance, yes, it's really about. Well, actually, we have Financial Force and Salesforce and Financial Force,
right.
And there you have so many possibilities with those two software. So we're trying really to use them at the best. You have so many add-ons, you have so many things you can do. Like, for example, right now we are working on an automated reporting. So you just have to click on a button, and you have a PDF, a reporting PDF you can send to your shareholders. So that's great. But yeah, the dream. But when you have to dig, you have really to dig. So that's what we're doing. We are doing right now, and we have automated so many things to have the KPIs, to have also slides that are related, to the Excel sheet, and you just have to click on a button to update them. That kind of thing. All that tools, that Google tools actually, and Salesforce tools that help you and the different team to monitor the KPI.
Fabulous. We have a question about Louisa on a more personal note. Congratulations on your pregnancy, and
thanks.
And she's wondering how you're sort of structuring your maternity leave, given how important the role of CFO is.
You have to be very organized. You have to be very organized, and I would say my team is quite mature right now. So I don't accept validation. I'm not really working on the recurring process. I'm just validating some things. So what we did is we did several meetings with my team, with each of them. I have a plan going on 2021, but it was before my my pregnancy, and we just updated it, and all the recurring process. So the life of the company are in their hands, and I've already trained them for that. And all the other things, so the exceptional, I'm trying all I can to anticipate it, and Jeanne, my CEO, will help me on that. And actually, I shouldn't say that, but I will be available for my team. So.
But you also have kind of timed it well, because you're leaving in August, and everybody knows that in Europe in August nothing happens anyway. So
yes, but maternity leave is 4 months long.
Yeah.
So.
And also the trade-off is that September is usually very busy. So anyway.
Yes.
All right, we've got 10 minutes left. 9 minutes left. So please get in your final questions. I have one more to read, but if there's anything else you would really like to hear from Elodie about, please do ask your questions now. All right, this is another one that we might need to interpret a little bit. It's from Shaib. Strategic decisions need to be assisted by the CFO. How much do you think is necessary? I guess how much should the CFO be involved in company strategy?
I think a lot. I think a lot, but once more, it really depends how you are situated your CEO, how if you're a real partner, etc. I think actually the CFO point of view is really important from an analytical point of view, and to be able to challenge what people say with figures. But also, when I say figures, it's not only about the KPI, etc., but about your readings, about I don't know, the different research you've been doing on a particular subject. But for that, you need to take a step back and to have an overview, a full vision of the company, to be able to really respond and challenge a strategic point of view. But I think when you have access to this level, actually the CFO it's just the right end of the CEO. So it's for me it's necessary that it's involved in all the big decision of the company. Of course, not something that is totally related to product. Of course, well, actually no, because CFO must know the products. It's really important. We're not only here to talk about figures and processes, but also to know about the products. So I'd say yes, 100%.
The whole way.
Yeah, the whole way.
If there was one part of your day-to-day that you could outsource completely, what would it be?
I know I can't I can say that, but I think the cash and working capital management, definitely. I don't know why, but the wire transfer validation, I don't like it. I really don't like it. I don't know why, because it doesn't take so much time.
You mean it's a bad UX, or
No, I just don't like clicking on it. And I don't know, it's maybe the comparison, because it's a task that seems silly, because you just say yes,
right.
submit, but actually it's a cash of the company, so you have to be very careful as well to have the right the right read, the right credentials, etc. So I don't like it, but actually it's really important. It's really important, so you have to do it, or not. You can give them to, actually I'm giving it to my accounting team, so you cannot do that if you want, but the validation, actually you have to do that, so I must live with it.
And what's the best advice you've ever received?
Actually, it's a family motto. It's let them say no. Yes, I like it. I love it so much, and it's the best advice ever, and it's applicable in every situation. For example, for 360 Learning, when I told you that they asked for more than 5 years of experience and I had only 3 at this time, well, I tried, and because of that motto, because let them say no, and it's applicable in everything in life. And as a CFO, for example, I ask for help for, I don't know, for banks or administration or etc. You just have to try. And at least they will say no. And if they say no, it's okay. At least we've tried.
And here in France, there's also a concept that you have to try 3 times. You have to ask 3 times for everything that you want when you're dealing with administration.
That's true. 3 times, 4 or 5, yeah.
Okay, last question for you, and I think it's a nice one to finish on. Why did you join CFO Connect?
It's so sad. It's so sad because I felt so alone at the beginning of my career as CFO. I felt so alone. I had, you have so many things you struggle with, and you don't know people who are CFOs. You don't obviously know people who are CFOs. So I was so glad to find teammates, who have the same trouble, the same issues they struggle with, and they can exchange with them. So that's why I'm very involved in Spendesk and I've already tried. I've already made an intervention for fundraising, etc. Because now I have more than 6 years in experience in CFO. So I hope my experience can help others and they won't find themselves in the position I was like 6 years ago when I felt so alone. So that's why.
We just published, as I said earlier, we posted today a new episode of the podcast, and it's with Eunice from the family, the CFO of the family. And he said exactly the same thing. But he said you both lonely in the sense that you don't always know other CFOs, but it can also be a bit lonely within the company. Because,
yes, that's true.
Do you find that?
So true. Yes, that's so true. And people have just a vision of the CFO. It's like she has the money, but we don't know what she's doing about it and with it. And she's the one saying no. And you are the only one who is an expert in your area. So yes, I think that there's a misunderstanding between the people because they don't understand what you're doing. But that's why actually the role of communication and education of the CFO is so important. But yes, at the beginning it's quite hard within the company as well. Yeah.
Well, on that very positive note, we're going to finish the webinar here. Of course, the answer to that is to get to know other people in the CFO Connect community even better than you do already. So we certainly look forward to seeing more conversation from everybody in the Slack group, and encourage, if you are feeling lonely in the role, encourage you to reach out to people. We even have member matchmaking, which I'm sure some people will have tried, where we help you find other people in similar positions so you can get to know actual other CFOs. With that, I want to thank you very much for your time, Elodie.
You're welcome. It was really a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no, we've had a wonderful time, and we look forward to seeing everybody at the next CFO Connect event. Thanks very much, everybody. Bye.
Bye.